Good evening, youths. I'm Ryan, Senior Manager of the Youth Engagement Team, and welcome to the CYS meetup. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. Before we begin, let me give you a quick introduction of CYS. CYS, which stands for Cyber Youth Singapore, is a youth-led nonprofit that seeks to empower youths with a platform to safely and responsibly explore their interests in technology. In pursuit of our goals, one of our core initiatives is our youth engagement activities. For today's meetup, we will be having Mr. Shivam Bathla, a security researcher working
Shall I
at
start now?
Pentester Academy, share more about Capture the Flags, or as most people will call it, CTFs. He'll be telling you guys what it's about and how you can get started in doing CTFs. After that, we will have a quick Q&A session where you guys get to ask Mr. Shivam some questions. Now, without further ado, let us welcome Mr. Shivam.
Hello, shall I start? Hello all. Today's session is about what is a CTF and how to get started with it. So I'm your host Shivam Bathla and I'm from Pentester Academy. Before we get started, here's a nice image to set up the stage, and now we begin. Before I start with the main stuff, I'll just introduce myself. So, I am Shivam Bathla, a security researcher at Pentester Academy and Attack Defense, and I was initially a developer who turned into a security researcher. So, because I realized I love breaking stuff more than I love making it. So, and even now I still do. So I have played a lot of CTF challenges when I was in my university years, and I just started back then with my cybersecurity journey. So you can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So my Twitter handle is @_Shivam Bathla. A little bit of disclaimer. So whatever thoughts that I am expressing in this session are really my own, and they do not necessarily reflect the views of my employer or my company. So, without further ado, let's start. So, I'll briefly describe what all we are discussing today. So, I'll be talking about what a CTF is, what are different types of CTFs, why should you play CTFs, how to play CTFs, how not to play a CTF, which challenges to avoid, some general tips, and then I'll leave you with some references and resources so that you can try out on your own. Uh, so and we can then take the question and answers session. So firstly, if you are new to this stuff, so you might be wondering what a CTF is. So if you google for what a CTF is, then you will find a Wikipedia page, and under the computer security section you might find this paragraph and a cool image of some guys trying to hack around. So I'll discuss a TLDR version of what a CTF is. So it's basically hacking for fun and learning, and sometimes profit as well, because in some CTF challenges you may end up getting some goodies or prizes. So basically, it's just a gamified hacking experience without any legal implications, until, of course, you stay within the competition rules. And it's basically training you for creativity and finding those weird bugs and vulnerabilities that are not so typical, but they can happen. They can happen, and they sometimes do, because developers do make mistakes. They are humans, right? So it's actually training you to catch those issues and become a better security researcher. So the types of CTFs, if you are not familiar with it, so broadly speaking, there are two popular types of CTFs. One is Jeopardy style and one is attack defense style. They are definitely more like hardware CTFs and others, but broadly speaking, these two are the main types. So in Jeopardy style CTFs, you get sort of a list of challenges which you solve, and after solving them, you get some flag, which is a random string. And in attack defense style CTFs, every team actually gets their own network or machines running vulnerable services. So you have two tasks there. You have to defend your machine by patching those vulnerable services. Plus, you have to attack other players' machines by developing the exploits for these vulnerabilities and steal the flags from them. So you get points for both of these tasks. So it's more fun, but it's challenging at the same time. So as a beginner, I would say go ahead with Jeopardy style. Once you feel you are confident enough, you can try out the attack defense style CTFs as well. So, why should you play CTFs? I would say it's the best way to learn hacking because it's totally hands on, right? You are learning something by doing it. You are not just reading it theoretically. And the competition aspect, it's what makes it more thrilling because you are competing with others and faring off on the leaderboard, right? So it's more fun. And basically you gain more experience and learn different techniques and concepts which you weren't aware of before, like some new cool way to hack into a server, like let's say break into SSH server or hack Apache Nginx, maybe attack memcache. So you learn different ways. So basically you play CTF to improve your skills, the techniques, and become a better security researcher or hacker if you like the term. And basically it instills the researcher mindset into you. So when you are approaching any real world pen tests, then you will be able to approach it in a better way because you will have those tricks in your arsenal to try out. So I think you should definitely try out CTS because they end up teaching you some new valuable skills which you didn't knew before, some new tricks, some new vulnerabilities, new way of approaching things, how to think outside the box. So it really instills that research mindset and creativity. So how should you play a CTF? There is this website called ctftime.org. So as you can see, so it will contain the list of CTFs which are currently running, and you will also see whether they are online or on site. So these CTFs are all online, and you can see till when they are running. So you can try these CTFs out here, and in the upcoming section, one second. So if you check out any one of the CTFs, then you will also have the official URL, the URL where the CTF is hosted, and a ranking. So a weight of the CTF, event organizers, and format as well. So it's Jeopardy style CTF. Here on the CTF site, you can go ahead and register and start playing. And after the CTF is over, you will see this event task and write up where you can actually see all the solutions which people submitted. So you can either submit yourself or check out other people's write ups. And there is also this upcoming section where all the upcoming CTFs are also listed along with their weight. So this weight is what determines the hardness of the CTF. So if a CTF is very tough, then its weight would be high. If a CTF is not that tough, the weight would be low. For some CTFs, you might see a score of 0. So either they are very new CTFs, so they haven't been rated yet, or they are really easy CTFs. So as you can see, this is like 100, and this is the attack defense style CTF. So based on rating, you can find out like which CTF you can try, which CTF can contain some good stuff for you. So that's about the website. So basically what you do is you go ahead and try out some CTF which you like, and then maybe pick one or two good challenges that seem interesting to you, and then take a stab at them and try them out. So you can do all sorts of research on them, like what the challenge is about, then what concept does it requires, do you know the concepts, and then you can search for the techniques that you want to apply in solving it. Maybe look for some exploits or try out on your own. And when trying to solve a challenge, make sure to take the notes. I think this is the most important thing, which people usually miss out. They think that they can keep the tricks in their mind and try them out, but I would say, like, if you want to try out things in a better manner, if you want to execute it well, then be sure to take the notes, because it will keep you organized. And whatever your thought process is, just list it down and try it out sequentially. And after the CTFs, once the CTF is over, make sure to check the write-ups as well. Maybe you might end up learning some new trick to solve the same challenge, or maybe if you are not able to solve it, you could see where you went wrong in the thought process and you could amend it later, and you have also learned something, right? So I think this is the important part which many people do miss. So I think make sure to check out the CTF write-ups, maybe talk to people over Discord, Slack, IRC, and find out how they solved it and network with them. I think it really helps to know how other people are thinking. Then how not to play a CTF. So I would say not go for flags or points, because I think this is one of the mistakes which I also used to make, because I wanted to be in a top position on the scoreboard. So I wanted to solve it for points. But I think, like, if you are solving CTF with a learner centric mindset, then you will gain a lot more out of it and you won't be disappointed, because even if you are not able to solve something, you are able to gain something, right, from the write-ups. So I think if you approach it via that mindset, I think you will always have something to learn and you will be happy that way. And to be honest, flags and points don't really matter that much. So solve it for the knowledge, right? And do not solve the challenges which are really easy just for the sake of solving. I know it's really fun when our score goes up and other teams are down, but I think if you are not learning something, then there is no point, right? And don't get discouraged if you can't solve a challenge, because it will happen. I can tell you that in many CTFs, I was also not able to solve many challenges, but it does not mean that you cannot learn, because there is always something to learn, right? So if you fail, go ahead and approach it. Maybe try to solve it on your own. If you can't, then maybe go ahead and read the write up and see where you were off. What points did you miss? Which things were important, which you were not able to notice at the time of solving. It really helps a lot. And I would say, don't sit on a problem for long hours. It's okay to take breaks in between, because we are not robots, right? We are humans. So if you think of it like, if you want to cut a wooden log, and if you have an axe which is blunt, you can't cut it right easily. It will take time. But if the axe is sharp, then it will be like gone in a few minutes or seconds. So that's the same thing with our brain. If our brain is like laser focused, then we can actually approach the problem and maybe solve it with less effort. But if we are exhausted, then it's difficult to solve the problem because we cannot focus on it. So I think it's okay to take breaks in between. Then which challenges to avoid? So I would say avoid playing challenges that are too easy, which require too much of guesswork, or which are too hard. So I think these three category of challenges should definitely be avoided, because we are not there to guess the creator's mindset, right? How the creator thought of how a challenge should be solved. We are there to approach it from a real world perspective, like how we would do it when we were pen testing some real world website or some application. And there is this document for CTF design guidelines, which I'll show you here. So as you can see, the tasks that need very little inspiration, very little work are very easy, and they are not worth your time. And so I would say maybe try to focus on these four, which require inspiration and little work. These are satisfying. Which require a lot of inspiration and little work, they definitely are insightful and surprising. Which require a lot of inspiration and some work are challenging and therefore really good. and fun part requires some work and some inspiration. You can also try out very hard, but I would say maybe if you fail, don't be disappointed or disheartened. It's normal. It's pretty normal. Plus, I would say don't try to guess what the author has made. So you don't have to follow their mindset and try to know like what their mindset was while creating the challenge. Plus, if you are a regular CTF player, you might have noticed as some techniques actually get repeated. So there are two tools, Katana and Cyber Chef, uh, which some people have made. So Katana is by John Hammond, a YouTuber, and some other notable contributors. So basically, it's a tool which will help you solve some low hanging fruit challenges, which are easy. So maybe it will fire off SQLi, let's say SQL map, and determine whether the website is vulnerable to SQL injection and grab the flag for you. And let's say if you are playing with Android apps, Android app reversing, then it has modules to analyze it using APK tool. It will get all the app permissions and other notable things like images used in the application, URLs present in the app, maybe some flag related strings, username, passwords. So I think if some task can easily be solved using a tool, why waste your time on it, right? If you can solve it easily, just try it yourself once just to get the hang of it, and maybe leave it to the tool later on. Because if you don't move away from such easy tasks, then you cannot learn the real stuff, right? Plus, then there is this tool called Cyber Chef, which actually takes some input, and it will tell you about the output by decoding it using various blocks. So I'll show you something. So I have this base64 encoded string. And let's say I don't know about base64, so I can drag this magic block, which will actually try out different stuff and figure out what this text actually is encoded with. So as you can see, many of the results tell me that it's base64 encoding. So I think, and it also has decoded it. So and it makes sense, right? So I can assure from here like it's base64, and I don't have to waste my time on it. Then I can show you a token. So I have this JWT token. If I drop it here, and there's this jot decode block, which I can apply here, and you can see my token got decoded, right? So you can use such tools to make your task easy. So this CyberChef is actually the Swiss Army knife for web data encoding encryption schemes, and it will help you decode these. So back to the slides. And I would say don't play challenges which can be solved using off-the-shelf tools. For example, Metasploit modules. It's no fun. Like if you are just firing Metasploit modules or running some simple commands to get the flags, it's basically being a script kiddie, right? So I would say don't be a script kiddie. Just learn it initially, and then just get away from such challenges because they are not helping you in any way. Then some general tips. Like any other skill, getting good at hacking or playing CTFs just takes time and patience. I would say like highlight these two words, time and patience, and of course grit or work. So you just need to put in thousands of hours of work into it to just get better at it. And I can assure you that you will get better at it if you put in the hours, and you will reach there. So it just takes time and patience, because there is no 5 steps to become a good hacker, right? Nobody can do that unless you are really gifted, of course. So always keep learning from others. Go ahead and read blogs, articles, CTF write-ups, bug bounty reports, research papers, conference talks. There is a lot of material which is like free, so you should go ahead and try it out. Like go ahead, whatever you can read, go ahead and just read it. If it's related to cybersecurity, it will definitely be helpful to you in some way. And I would say don't become arrogant that you know everything. It might happen that some of you might be thinking, oh, I know everything, I know this, I know that. But when you start to see the stuff, there is actually a lot of stuff, and even a seasoned professional cannot say that he knows everything. And if he says that, then I would say it's things will become stagnant for him, right? Because this field is actually a moving target. So it's like a cat and mouse game. If as a defender we are releasing patches, then hackers are trying to find their way around those patches. So it's an endless game which will always continue. Hackers will try to beat the defenders, and defenders will try to come up with the patches. So it's just a matter of speed and time. So I would say don't become arrogant that you know everything. There is always something to learn, some new technique, some new concept, a new way of seeing the same things differently. Let's say you know XSS, maybe try to become better at it. Maybe try to use it in some novel ways in which people were not able to use it. So go ahead and read some interesting blogs, articles on how people are using, let's say, XSS as the payload. So XSS as the vector. It all helps you become better. So this is the word cloud on whatever stuff there is out to learn. Of course, it's not everything, because otherwise the page would be full of gibberish. So I would say like Linux, Wireshark, firewalls, container security, Windows, kernel exploitation, reversing buffer overflows. So I think there is a lot to learn, and it's like an endless journey. It's not a destination; it's a journey. You just keep on moving and start learn whatever comes around, right? Whatever suits you, go ahead and learn it. So now some references and resources. So I would say when I started, I used these resources to get up and running with the CTFs and try out different challenges. So some of the websites where you can try out is, first is Pico CTF. So it's by Carnegie Mellon University. One second. Yeah. So it's by Carnegie Mellon University, and it's basically teaching you cybersecurity in a gamified fashion. It's basically for middle to high school students, where they give small puzzles and small security related challenge, not that hard, but easy level, so that you can actually step up your game. And then progressively, the game gets harder and harder. So, and then we have this Over the Wire. So it contains a lot of war games. So as you can see on the side, we have Bandit, Natas, Leviathan, Krypton. So you can start with these. So Bandit is the easiest one, which will help you get started with Linux. And then if you are interested in web, you can try out Natas. Then you can try other games as well. I haven't played all. So there's a lot of stuff here. So if you want to try out, you can try out these challenges. Then there is Smash the Stack. It also contains a lot of war games related to different stuff. So it could be reversing exploitation, heap exploitation, buffer overflows, format strings. So it also contains a lot of challenges. And then there is this W3C Chaz, which contain challenges on crypto, miscellaneous, RE, forensic spawn, and web. And root me, it's a nice website which contains really good challenges on exploitation and RE stuff. I haven't tried others, so I would recommend you should check this out as well. And then there is our website, Attack Defense, which contains a lot of challenges. So one second. So our website is more versatile, because we are not just limited to simple categories like web, porn, and crypto. We do have challenges on various stuff which you will actually find in the industry, like related to real world stuff. So Windows security, cloud security. I think cloud security is really rare in other platforms which I have seen. So I think this is a really nice stuff. And then Linux security, web pen testing. So I think we are more versatile. So we are not just focusing on conventional stuff which you find in CTFs, but we are actually teaching you the real world stuff, which you might end up seeing in your real world pen tests, like container security. I don't think people do have extensive challenges on these. So I think that's what give us the edge. And if you want to try out, we have community labs which are totally free. So we have 88 labs currently, which are totally free, and you can try those out. And among those are the CTFs as well. So we built some CTFs in the past, and they went pretty well. So if you want to start, you can try these out. I won't say these are easy, so don't expect that you might be able to solve it all, but I think you will be able to learn a lot from these. They will help you actually clear a lot of stuff. And if you want to try out, you can also try out our courses. These are also beginner friendly. And CTF time, of course, it will contain the references to other upcoming CTFs. So you should monitor that and see whatever CTF is upcoming. Some YouTube channels which I follow myself. So one is Live Overflow. I think some of you might be aware of the guy. So he's from Germany. He also makes stuff on like hacking stuff. So it's an interesting channel actually. You'll find a lot of stuff here. Then next is John Hammond. If you are into CTFs, you might know this guy as well. So this is the guy who made Katana as well. So you can see the CTF write-ups by him. He does a lot of such stuff, and even Bandit, the over-the-wire games which I showed. So he has solutions for them as well. And then Gyanwell. So this is the guy from Google, and he is a really awesome guy. So he also creates a lot of stuff, maybe basically on reversing exploitation and other random stuff. So you'll also find a lot of interesting educational stuff here. And then I do read a couple of blogs as well. So Cloudflare's blog are really interesting. Checkpoint Research and Securitum also have a lot of interesting posts. And maybe a few more I read, which I don't remember now. But if I remember, I'll list them out. And to be honest, I cannot recommend more blogs because I follow Hacker News and Reddit, so NetSec channel, which actually contains a lot of interesting articles being posted every day. So I think you can follow those channels, and you'll definitely get something interesting out of those, probably every day actually. Something new, like some new exploit is being published, so someone would have posted the write-up for it. And there is one more, so Google's Project Zero. That's some advanced stuff actually, so I removed it from here. But if you are up for it, you can actually go ahead and try that out as well. Google's Project Zero. It's an interesting blog. Contains a lot of interesting stuff. 0 days vulnerabilities and how they were able to detect it. And I would say go for the local meetups, find like-minded people over Discord, and start discussing and playing CTFs with them. It will really help you. So with that, I conclude my session, and I'm up for the questions now.
All right. Thank you for that insightful talk on CTFs. I think I'll be trying out some of the CTF websites for myself. Yeah. So before we start with our Q&A session, let me just take this time to tell you a little bit about the scholarship that Pentester Academy is going to be awarding. So yeah, before we start the Q&A, Pentester Academy will be awarding 2 individuals who are keen to improve their technical skills, as well as being open to sharing their experience via blogs or vlogs. So just do keep an eye out for any pre-event surveys again to indicate your interest for the scholarship. So now with the Q&A, everyone, you can just ask in our meetup chat in the Discord, or you could ask in the Twitch chat. Yeah, so go right on ahead and spam the chats. I can start this Q&A off first. So, Mr. Shivam, how long did it take you to get good at doing CTFs?
Yeah, so I would say it never ends, because I won't say I'm still good at CTFs, because there might be challenges that I cannot solve. So I think it's endless. You just learn and just go through, because as I mentioned, it's not a destination, it's a journey. So we never get good at it. You just hope that because if you are good at it, then there is nothing for you to learn, and I think it will never happen, right? So there is always something to learn. You can become an average CTF player, or you can start analyzing the things. If you are really good, then I think, yeah, you are at the top of your game, and it will definitely take years, 5 to 10 years at least. So yeah, be prepared for it if you are up for the game.
Okay. Okay, not any questions on the floor. If not, I can ask another question. So, how should I pick which CTFs you think I should join?
I think on CTF time, you actually get the ratings for the CTF. So higher the rating means the CTF is more played, plus it's more hard. So I think like DEFCON CTFs goes around. It's really nice and hard, and Google CTF is also there. So I think you can try those, and even like CTS with low ratings like 20, 23, 24. You can also try them out. So basically, in every CTF, you might find how many people actually solve the challenge, and also the categories. So if you see a hard challenge which is being solved by a lot of people, that just means it's not that hard, or maybe you are good at it, right? Because if it's a hard challenge and it's solved by many people, then that just means that either people are more skilled there, or the challenge is uh, not that easy. It's easy actually then.
Okay. So we got some questions from the chat. So one of the questions be what topics would you recommend to start first?
I think web is really easy for everyone to grasp, because we have been around this website and applications, so we know how most of the things do work. Like, we know the basics, right? We know what HTTP is,
Yeah.
how the browser makes requests, how a browser loads an image, what is a GET request, what is a PUT request. We have seen forms. So I think that's most familiar to us. So that should be an obvious way to go with. And then you can start exploring other stuff, like there is reverse engineering. If you are good at programming, then you can also hand in hand take Python with you, and start automating things. So I think I should say this, that uh, when I started, I also played challenges where I had to automate stuff using Python. So I used to scrape web pages using Python and collect some data. Let's say I want to collect some stats from a weather API. So I'll use Python and collect those stats. So I think that way I got good at programming as well. So it's not just about playing CTFs. Even the development experience really adds to it. If you know how to make a website, you definitely can break it, right? So I think if you are able to know how the things are working, how it ticks, how it is built, then you can easily break it as well. So I think you should actually have some experience with developing websites, then you can actually admire this more as a security researcher.
Okay. Okay, another question from one of the youths is what certifications or trainings are useful in helping me gain some CTF knowledge?
I think, in my opinion, these certifications are overrated. In my
Okay.
experience, I feel like you should learn the stuff, because certifications will help you definitely in getting a good job. Because I have seen many pen testing jobs actually require some certificates. So if you are really doing certifications, I think some of those might just be a waste of money. Some of those, some are good, definitely good, but I think knowledge is more important, because certificates definitely get expired, right? After 3 years, the certificate won't be valid, but that skill does goes on if you are in touch with it. So I think I would say go with the skill. Maybe you are learning from some average tutorial. Go ahead and try it out, because once you try the stuff out, you can actually learn more.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay, so next question. What kind of mindset should we have while tackling CTFs?
Be open, and always be prepared that you might not be able to solve it. If the challenge is good enough, then maybe 99% 9 out of 10 times you will fail. And it's normal actually. In the beginning, it's normal. So I would say like keep an open mind and a learner centric mind. Don't go for the points, go for the skill that it requires and it adds to you, right?
Yep.
So I would say like if I'm solving an exercise challenge and I don't know anything about it, then my obvious thing should be, rather than thinking, oh, my friends are able to solve it, I should rather see that, okay, I am not able to solve it. So what it requires out of me is that I go ahead, read about it, and then maybe try to apply it here. So I think patience is the virtue which you should have. So with that mindset, you should approach anything.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Do we have any more questions? Okay, maybe one question I can ask you. What are there any CTFs that you would recommend us doing? So like maybe like
So basically, when I started, I did this. There is one CTF called CSAW, Cybersecurity Awareness Week.
okay.
So it's really easy CTF, which actually just requires you to Google some things, and sometimes it's some cybersecurity stuff which is not that hard. So I think with that you can go ahead. And there is one more CTF which I shared, which is Eco CTF, which is also good. So because it's actually targeted towards middle to high school students, so to get you started. So I think you can try that out. It's really interesting. You will find out that you actually get started with reverse engineering, even exploit development, like basic buffer overflows using this. So it's a good thing to learn.
Okay. Another question from the youths would be: is it better to work in a team or work solo while solving CTF?
So initially, if you have a team, then it's good, because then you will have a lot of people working on different problems, and then you can also share your knowledge among each other. It's good. But if you don't have a team, then don't be disappointed. Like, play alone and maybe go ahead and read other people's write ups. So I think it's fine to play alone as well, or in a team. It's just about gaining the skills. So if you are playing in a team, I'm thinking like maybe you are playing just for the points, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's okay to play alone. And in a team also it helps, because if you are playing in a team, then you get to learn from other people's as well. So I think it's also good to play in a team. And if you are individual, then also it's fine. I mean, no harm in it. And
Okay.
as I mentioned, so what you can do is you can join Discord or other channels where you can actually network with people, find the like-minded people who you think are more like knowledgeable than you, and
Yep.
with whom you can actually learn well, and
Yep.
maybe start playing with them.
Okay. Yep. This a very good tip. All right. So another question would be how will you overcome discouragement in the process of tackling CTF?
It's hard, but you don't have to see that small game, because there is no 5 step to hacking, like no 5 step guide to hacking. It's not for anything actually. If you notice, as a kid, if you had to learn to walk, you would have like failed a lot of times, right? But did
Yeah.
you stop trying? No, right? you
Yeah.
you did try it again and again until you started walking. So I think it's the same process, and you didn't learn to walk overnight.
Yep.
So it's same with anything actually. It just needs time and patience. So if you get discouraged, I would say, if you fail in a CTF challenge, think of it in this way, that it's there is something which is missing in your skill set, that you are not able to solve it in a positive way, that you can learn something new from this challenge. If you approach it with that mindset, then I think sky is the limit.
Okay. I think maybe we'll take one more question. Let's see if there's any more questions to be asked. Some of the use of typing. So type faster, guys. Okay, maybe while they're typing, I can ask another question, one last question. What CTF category do you feel has the steepest learning curve, and why is that so?
So for me, it was exploitation because I had to learn assembly, which is a very low level programming language, and then I had to know how computers do work, how to reverse engineer a small binary, and then try my exploits. So when I saw my first buffer overflow, it was really fun for me. It was like a mind blowing moment. So I think it had the steepest learning curve for me uh, because it actually required me to push out of my comfort zone and try to learn some new stuff. And I think that was my hard part for me.
Mm.
For some of you, if you are really into that stuff, maybe you could have something else. Like if you are into RE, maybe go ahead and try out IoT stuff. That might be hard for you. So I think it depends on people. For me, it was getting into reverse engineering and exploitation. It was the hardest part.
Okay. We have the question from one of the youths. How can I start learning to write my own exploit in the future instead of using tools such as Metasploit?
Yes, so I would say, instead of using the tools, the standard tools, maybe go ahead and take the shellcode from people from other blogs who have actually commented it out. So I started by actually reading the shellcodes, what it means. So basically, first go for the skill to learn assembly. So if you can read assembly very well, then you can actually disassemble the shellcodes and then make sense out of them and then start writing your own shellcodes. Then slowly you can actually move away from those tools and use your own. And the point I would say is I haven't ever used metasploit shell code in my exploits which I ever wrote to solve the challenges like buffer overflows or anything. So but later I started analyzing what metasploit is actually creating. So I disassembled it and saw what all encoders are doing, etc. So it also is a good learning thing, I think. So you can start small by reading some assembly and reading other people's shell code, making sense out of them, maybe making small programs like shell code to delete a file, a shell code to enumerate a directory and delete all the files. So using that, you can actually start to develop a sense for it, and then in no time you will be able to write shell codes.
Just to add on to that last question, how
Mhm.
would you recommend learning assembly? Is there any good articles you think we can read or blogs that we can read?
I think I have one channel from which I think I learned very nice assembly.
Okay.
Uh, Plus, we have two courses on Pentester Academy actually. So I stumbled upon them later in my journey, but I think those are valuable as well. So I'll list them down
Mm-hmm.
so you can actually reference them later.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Okay. What was the hardest OSINT CTF challenge you've done so far?
I don't remember, to be honest, because I used to solve CTS while I was in my university.
Okay.
So it's been a long time now. I do solve some CTS, but it's rare now. It's rare now.
Okay. So I'm guessing nowadays you just join once in a while.
Yeah, I occasionally read the write-ups though.
Ah.
I try to read the write-ups of people so that I can know if there is something interesting.
Hmm.
So I actively read blogs now.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see if there's any more questions. If not, I think yeah, thank you so much for this talk, man. It's been really insightful. Learn a lot from what I can do and what I can learn, or how I can even practice doing CTFs. So
Mhm.
yeah, thanks a lot for taking time to speak to the youth and all of us about CTFs.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. If you got something valuable out of it, it's really good to know that. It really makes me happy.
Thanks, man. All right.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much, Yus, for coming down today. Just really listening. Hope you guys took some good notes or just learn just a bunch from Mr. Shivam here. So yeah, that's all for today. Just stick around for a short while because we'll have a QR code on the screen for you guys to scan to take a survey on today's meetup. Other than that, yeah, that's all. Thank you guys so much and good night.